We're going to continue in our prayer book on page 129, which is Dodie Lee. During Passover, one of the things that we're supposed to do is read from Song of Songs. And so we do this lovely melody from Song of Songs. Dodie Lee.
Dodie Lee vani lo haroeh bashoshanim Dodie Lee mizizot olah u'le'om midbar mizot olah min hamidbar Dodie Lee vani lo haroeh bashoshanim Dodie Lee mekuteret mor ulevona Dodie Lee Dodie Lee vani lo haroeh bashoshanim Dodie Lee.
It's my pleasure to invite up Diane Gilden, who it will light the Shabbos candles. You can find that on page 120 or 121, along those lines. 120. It's good luck.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kiddushanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu lehadlik ner shel Shabbat.
Shabbat shalom. Thank you so much. We're going to continue with Kabbalat Shabbat, found on page 130. If you haven't joined us before, that is on the blue bracketed numbers, page 130, Lechune Ranena.
Lechune ranena l'Adonai nari eletzur yishenu nekama fanav betoda bizmirot nari alo nekama fanav betoda bizmirot nari alo.
Page 131.
Shiru l'Adonai, Shir Hadash, Shiru l'Adonai, Kol haaretz, Shiru l'Adonai, Baruch Shemo, Basru miyom leyom, Yom Yeshuato, Shivru v'goyim, Kevodo, Bechol ha'amim, Nifleotav. Ya la 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 la, ya la la la, ya la 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 la, ya la 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 la, ya la la la, ya la la la, ya la 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 la, la 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 la, ya la ya la, ya la la la, ya la 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 la, ya la 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 la.
Shir Adonai, Shir Hadash, Shir Adonai, Kol haaretz. Sing to Adonai a new song. Sing to Adonai all the earth. Or zaruach latzadik ul yishrei lev simcha simchut tzadikim ba'Adonai vehodu lezecher kudsho. Light is sown for the righteous, radiance for the upright. O you righteous, rejoice in Adonai and acclaim God's holy name. We're continuing on the top of page 134, Zamru Ladonai. Zamru Ladonai Bechinor Bechinor Vekozimra
Zamru Ladonai Bechinor Bechinor Vekozimra Zamru Ladonai Bechinor Bechinor Vekozimra Zamru Ladonai Bechinor Bechinor Vekozimra Zamru Ladonai Bechinor Bechinor Vekozimra Zamru Ladonai Bechinor Bechinor Vekozimra.
We continue with Psalm 29 on page 136. Mismo le David avul Adonai b'nei Elim.
Mismor le David avul Adonai kevod sheros.
Again.
Mismor le David avul Adonai b'nei Elim. Mismor le David avul Adonai kavod shemo. Avul Adonai kavod va'oz. Avul Adonai kavod shemo. Avul Adonai kavod va'oz. Avul Adonai kavod shemo. Yai dai dai, yai dai 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 dai, yai dai 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 dai, yai dai dai, yai dai 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 dai, yai dai 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 dai.
Adonaios lemo yiten. Adonai yivarech et amo v'shalom. Page 137. Adonaios lemo yiten. Adonai yivarech et amo v'shalom. Yai dai dai, yai dai 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 dai, yai dai 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 dai, yai dai dai, yai dai 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 dai, yai dai 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 dai. Adonaios lemo yiten. Adonai yivarech et amo v'shalom. Adonaios lemo yiten. Adonai yivarech et amo v'shalom. We continue on page 138. For those who came in late, again, those are the blue bracketed numbers in our prayer book. We welcome the Sabbath bride with Lecha Dodi. We sing verses 1, 2, 5, 6, and 9 here at Shir Hadash. And when we get to the 9th verse, we invite you to rise, to turn to our door, and to greet the Sabbath bride.
Lecha dodi likrat kala, b'nei Shabbat nekabela. 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 Shamor v'zachor b'dibur echad, Ishmi'anu el hamiuchad, Adonai echad, u'shemo echad, l'shem u'tiferet v'litila. Lecha dodi likrat kala, b'nei Shabbat nekabela. Lecha dodi likrat kala, b'nei Shabbat nekabela. Likrat Shabbat lechu v'nelcha, ki hi mekor haberacha, merosh mikedem nesucha, sof ma'aseh b'machshava tchila. Lecha dodi likrat kala, b'nei Shabbat nekabela. Lecha dodi likrat kala, b'nei Shabbat nekabela. Hitoreri, Kiva orech kumi uri, shir daberi, kevod Adonai alayich nigla. Lecha dodi likrat kala, b'nei Shabbat nekabela. Lecha dodi likrat kala, b'nei Shabbat nekabela.
Lo tevoshi ve'lo tikani, ma tishtochachi u'ma tehemi, b'achyechesu aniyei ami, v'nibneta ir al tila.
Lecha dodi likrat kala, b'nei Shabbat nekabela. Lecha dodi likrat kala, b'nei Shabbat nekabela.
Boi v'shalom ateret bala,
Gam b'simcha u'b'tzola, toch emunei am segula. Boi chala. Lecha dodi likrat kala, b'nei Shabbat nekabela. Lecha dodi likrat kala, b'nei Shabbat nekabela.
So please take a moment to greet your friends, to greet those you don't know. Please introduce yourself to those people you don't know. Wish them a Shabbat Shalom. Shabbat Shalom. Okay, let me go give Michelle her announcements. Shabbat Shalom, Shabbat Shalom.
Daniel. Oh, really?
Shabbat Shalom. Good, how are you?
Yep. And I left a lot of the announcements on there because they all seem important. So.
Shabbat Shalom. Shabbat Shalom.
And we join together. There's one more psalm for Shabbat. That is Psalm 92 on page 140.
Mizmor Shir, Shir Yom HaShabbat. 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 Mizmor Shir, Shir Yom HaShabbat.
We conclude Kabbalat Shabbat with the separation between Kabbalat Shabbat and our Shema U'Virchotecha, the Shema and its blessings, found on page 144, the Chatzi Kaddish. Yitkara ve'yitkarash Shemei Rabbah.
Amen.
Ve'amad yivrach chirutei v'yamlich malchutei
B'chayechon u'vyomechon u'v'gayedecho Beit Yisrael. Bagala u'vizman hariv
ve'imeru
Amen.
Yehei Shmei Rabbah mevarach le'alam olam me'hamaya yitbarach ve'yishtabach yitpa'ar v'yitromam ve'yitnaseh ve'yithadar ve'yitaleh ve'yithalal shemei dekudesha brichu Elamin kol berchata v'shirata
Tushbechata v'nechemata damiran me'alma
Ve'imeru
Amen.
Please rise for the Baruch Hu. Page 146. Ya la 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 la. Ya la 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 la. Ya la 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 la. Ya la 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 la. Ya la 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 la. Ya la 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 la. Ya la 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 la. Ya la 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 la. Barechu et Adonai Amevorach
Baruch Adonai Amevorach Amevorach Leolam Vaed Amevorach Amevorach Leolam Vaed.
You may be seated. Let's join together on page 149 with the second reading. This is an hour of change. Within it we stand uncertain on the border of light. Shall we draw back or cross over? Where shall our hearts turn? Shall we draw back, my brother, my sister, or cross over? This is the hour of change, and within it We stand quietly on the border of light. What lies before us? Shall we draw back, my brother, my sister, or cross over? Baruch atah Adonai, Hama'ariv Aravim. Page 150.
Ahavat Olam, Beit Yisrael, Amecha Avta, Amcha Avta. Torah u'mitzvot, Hukim u'mishpatim, Otanu lemadeta, Otanu lemadeta. Al kein Adonai Eloheinu b'shokvenu, Ufkumenu nasiach b'chukecha, V'nismach b'divrei Toratecha, Uv'mitzvotecha le'olam va'ed. Ki hem chayenu, ve'orech yameinu, uvahem negei yomam v'layla, negei yomam v'layla. Ve'ahavatcha al tasir, mimenu le'olamim, Baruch atah Adonai, Ohev Amo Yisrael. Ohev Amo Yisrael. Page 152. Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad. Page 154. Ve'ahavta et Adonai Elohecha b'chol levavcha u'b'chol nafshecha u'b'chol me'odecha ve'hayu ha'devarim ha'ele asher anochi mitzavecha Hayom al levavecha, v'shinantam levanecha, v'dibarta bam, v'shiftecha b'beitecha, uv'lechtecha v'derech, uv'shokbecha, uv'ekumecha, uv'shartam leot al yadecha, Ve'hayu letotafot bein einecha, uchtavtam al mezuzot beitecha, uvisharecha, leman tizkeru, va'asitem et kol mitzvotai, v'hitem kedoshim le'Elohechem. Ani Adonai Elohechem, asher hotzeiti etchem me'eretz Mitzrayim, liot lachem Elohim. Ani Adonai Elohechem. Emet, Adonai Elohechem, emet. We take a moment to read page 156. Emet Yatziv silently.
Please join me in the last 3 lines. And they
They
accepted your sovereignty. Moses, Miriam, and all Israel sang to you together, lifting their voices joyously. And we continue with the special melody for Pesach, Mi Chamocha, on page 158.
Mi chamocha ba'elim Adonai, mi kamocha nedar b'kodesh, nora tehilot osef elev.
Malchutecha rahuvanecha bokayam lifnei Moshe zeilianu ve'ameru Adonai yimloch le'olam va'ed. V'ne'emar kifada Adonai et Yaakov ugalo miyad chazak mimenu Baruch atah Adonai Gal Yisrael. Hashkivenu, page 160. Hashkivenu Adonai Eloheinu leshalom v'hamidenu shomreinu lechaim. Hashkivenu Adonai Eloheinu leshalom v'hamidenu shomreinu lechaim. Ushmor tzitenu uvoenu lechaim u'shalom me'ata ve'ad olam. Hashkivenu Adonai Eloheinu leshalom v'hamidenu shomreinu lechaim. Hashkivenu Adonai Eloheinu leshalom v'hamidenu shomreinu lechaim. Ushmor tzitenu uvoenu lechaim u'shalom me'ata ve'ad olam. For you, God, watch over us and deliver us. For you, God, are gracious and merciful. Guard our going and coming to life and to peace evermore. Blessed are you, Adonai, guardian of Israel, whose shelter of peace is spread over us, over all your people Israel, and over Jerusalem. Baruch atah Adonai, hapores sukat shalom aleinu ve'al kol amo Yisrael ve'al Yerushalayim. Page 162.
V'shamru b'nei Yisrael et ha-Shabbat, la'asot et ha-Shabbat l'dorotam, berit olam, beini u'ben b'nei Yisrael, oti le'olam. Sheshet yamim asa Adonai et hashamayim ואת הארץ, וביום השביעי שבת שבת ויהי נפש, שבת שבת ויהי נפש, שבת שבת ויהי נפש, שבת שבת ויהי נפש.
In just a moment, we'll rise for the Amidah, for the Tefillah, for the prayers, the heart of our service. We're going to join together in the first prayer or the opening prayer on page 164, and then continue the Amidah silently all the way through page 180. At that point, please take some time for prayers from your own heart, and then feel free to be seated. We invite you to rise.
Adonai sefetai tiftach, ufi agid tehilatecha. Adonai, open up my lips, that my mouth may declare your praise. Yadalai, 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 yadalai.
The last prayer of Tfilat Amidah is a prayer for peace. And so as we recite first Oseh Shalom, we'll follow that with the prayer for the state of Israel as we think of those who are injured, those who are recovering, those who are grieving in the state of Israel this week and this Shabbat. Oseh Shalom b'mromav, hu ya'aseh shalom, aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael, ve'al kol yoshvei tevel, Imru Amen. And if you'll join me on page 377 for the prayer for the state of Israel. Let's join in together. O Heavenly One, Protector and Redeemer of Israel, bless the state of Israel, which marks the dawning of hope for all who seek peace. Shield it beneath the wings of your love. Spread over it to the canopy of your peace. Send your light and truth to all who lead and advise, guiding them with your good counsel. Establish peace in the land and fullness of joy for all who dwell there. We say, Amen. We continue with the Mishaberach. If you are in need of healing, if you have loved ones who are in need of healing, if you are in grief, if you are dealing with grief and dealing with addiction, we invite you to recite a name as my eyes meet yours. Bruce Roberts, Stuart Mast, Alfreda Mastman, Diane Siegel, Jill Becker, Gail Frankel, Scott Van Gundy, Daphne Talmor, Mira Engel, Dave Stahl, Greg Herb, Murray Siegel, Ron Victor, Marvin Lombard, Laura Sternberg, Richard Ravitch, former member of Shir Hadash, Bernice Paris, mother of Carol Paris, Franklin Wolfson, son-in-law of Susan Deniston, Lillian Sidlow, mother of Beth Sidlow Mann and mother-in-law of Andrew Mann. The Mishaberach is found on page 371.
Mishaberach Avotenu Mekor HaBracha Leimotenu. May the source of strength, who bless the ones before us, help us find the courage to make our lives a blessing, and let us say, Amen. Mishaberach Imotenu Mekor HaBracha Leavotenu. Bless those in need of healing with refuah shelema, the renewal of body, the renewal of spirit, and let us say, Amen.
Sit down. So, trick question. What is our Torah portion this week? What? No. Oh, yes, it is, because it's from Mishpatim. Yes. Actually, it's from Ki Tisa. So the Torah portion this week is a special Torah portion for Chol HaMoed Pesach. Oh, that's not actually what I'm talking about, but I thought I would bring that up. So I need to move this out of the way a little. So I'm going to share a text with you. Ma'aseh b'Rabbi Eliezer, v'Rabbi Yehoshua, v'Rabbi Elazar ben Azariah, v'Rabbi Akiva, v'Rabbi Tarfon. There's a lot of rabbis, right? Shehiyu misubin bivnei v'rak V'hu misaprim b'tziat Mitzrayim kol oto halayla ad sheba'u talmidehem ve'amru lahem Rabotenu higia zaman kriat shema shel shacharit. It happened once on Pesach that Rabbi Eliezer, Rabbi Yehoshua, Rabbi Elazar ben Azariah, Rabbi Akiva, and Rabbi Tarfon were reclining in Bnei Brak and were telling the story of the Exodus from Egypt that whole night, until their students came to them and said to them, "The time of reciting the morning Shema has arrived." So now Rabbi Nico and I have been discussing this week, so this is where this all came from. So Baruch Shemar, which has some commentary on the Pesach Haggadah, says it once happened that Rabbi Elazar, etc., that the remainder of the Haggadah that we read that we just read these last couple nights is made up of biblical citations and midrashic interpretations of these verses. So why do we think that the Haggadah includes the story of Rabbi Elazar here? Anyone want to guess? Okay, I'll tell you. This story helps us to illustrate two insights we gained from the previous passage. That even those people who are blessed with great wisdom, the rabbis, and insight are still obligated to tell the story of the Exodus. So it doesn't matter how learned you are still obligated to tell the story of the Exodus. And it is not enough simply to tell the story of the Exodus. One must expand on the story of the Exodus and learn new insights and ideas from it. Okay, so every year we learn something new as we read the Haggadah, hopefully. So this story illustrates both of these insights. Rabbi Elazar and his colleagues, despite their great knowledge of the Exodus, still gathered together on the night of Passover to tell the story of the Exodus. And then they spent the entire night exploring its significance until their students finally interrupted them and reminded them that it was time to recite the Shema. Anybody grow up here very traditional or Orthodox? So what time are you supposed to finish the Seder? By midnight. Okay, so keep that in your mind. Why is the Exodus so central to our identity? Redemption and freedom. Okay, so God delivered us from the land of Egypt. We became a people. Other thoughts? So it reminds us of our story of freedom, as we said. It reminds us that through repeating the story, we learn new things about it and ourselves. Everything that we're supposed to do, we're supposed to grow from, right? It reminds us that it is an important part of our history as a people, or as Diane said, we became a people at that point. Why shall we keep remembering it even in messianic times? We need to know where we came from. Other thoughts? We need to remember what slavery feels like so we don't go backwards. Excellent. We need to remember what slavery felt like so we don't go backwards. These were my own musings. Okay, so because we continually learn new things from the story, which I said before, by remembering, we continually work on tikkun olam. So messianic times means that we're hoping for a repaired world. So we continually work on tikkun olam, and when that happens, the rabbis say, of course, that the Messiah will come. All right. We're going to make some guesses here. What are the costumes that we carry even to our most relaxed and disconnected times? Or a better way might be to ask that question. What part of ourselves do we need to bring with us at various times, and how does that differ, for example, between the Seder and other times? What, Gail? So sometimes people come dressed as the character within the story. So one of our congregants who lives up at the Forum just sent me pictures from their Seder. They did a little play. So they were dressed as Moses and Pharaoh. No, we're not doing a Seder spiel. Though that would have been a great way to spend a Friday evening Shabbat Drash, right? So, let's see, where was I? So when we think of bringing ourselves at different times, we think of what we wear in some ways, both outer and inner, I think. So, last question before we go into a couple other texts. Is there such a thing as achieving a state of freedom in which we disconnect from our basic obligations? Okay, expand a little more. You were quick to, Adrian, did I say that right? Adrian, I was right the first time. Adrian, you were quick to say yes. Why? Freedom's something that we need, okay? Anybody have a different thought? Or the same thought, want to expand on it?
Well, obligations limit your freedom.
Okay.
So you need to work in that context.
Obligations limit our freedom, so we have to work in that context. So the question I thought when I saw this question first was, can we be so involved in something that we completely forget other things that are a part of our everyday life?
So supposedly when you're fasting and you keep pouring, you're so engrossed in the prayers, you're not thinking about, you're focused on your spirituality and your repentance, and you're not focused on your bodily needs.
Excellent. That's a great example. So Michelle said, I'll repeat that for those of people who are online, that for example, on Yom, I'm going to probably summarize it, but on Yom Kippur, when we are so involved in our prayers, we're so involved in our spiritual life at that moment in time that we forget about all of our bodily needs, including food and water. Other thoughts? And this goes back, of course, to the original text that we thought of, or that we read, okay, which that the rabbis were so involved in their discussion that they forgot their morning prayers. Something as basic as those things that we're supposed to do every day, if we are so involved, we can forget about them. So, next text, which I will just read in English for you. Because the Hebrew is too small for me. Rabbi Elazar ben Azariah said, "Behold, I am like a man of 70 years, and I have not merited to understand why the exodus from Egypt should be said at night until Ben Zoma explicated it, as it is stated in Deuteronomy chapter 16, verse 3, in order that you remember the days of your going out from the land of Egypt, all the days of your life. The days of your life indicates that the remembrance be invoked during the days, all the days of your life, which indicates that the remembrance be invoked also during the nights. But the sages say, the days of your life indicates that the remembrance be invoked in this world. All the days of your life indicates that the remembrance be invoked also in the days of the Messiah." You all have that look of confusion on your face. So remember the Exodus all the days of your life. So until Ben Zoma explained it from the verse, in order that you may remember, all the days of your life, that came from Deuteronomy 16:3. Ben Zoma used this verse as a proof text for reciting the Shema at night, even though it deals with the Passover offering. Now, when we say the Shema here, what we're referring to is the Geulah, the redemption, which we often call the Michamocha, which is part of the Shema and its blessings. So when I'm referring to Shema here, I'm not referring to the actual Shema. I'm referring to the Geulah section, okay? So I'll read that again. Ben Zoma used this verse as a proof text for reciting the Shema at night, even though it deals with the Passover offering. The previous verse states, "You shall slaughter the Passover offering for the eternal your God from the flock or the herd." Without remembering the Passover rite on the day it took place, there can be no true remembrance of the Exodus. Mentioning the Exodus daily in the Shema is not sufficient for inspiring remembrance. The true essence of the Exodus is in celebrating the Passover offering on the eve of Passover. Now that we remember the Passover offering, we go on to say that a person should remember the Exodus every day of his life through the recitation of the Shema. The statement, "all the days of your life," is interpreted to mean that one must mention it not just in the daytime, but at night as well. And the sages, however, interpret this passage differently, because of course they did, taking it as a reference to the Messianic era. So why didn't the sages interpret all the days of your life the same way as Rabbi Elazar? Why did it make more sense to Rabbi Elazar to take this as inclusive of the nights rather than agreeing with the sages who understood it as adding the Messianic era? It would seem that Rabbi Elazar understood the nights as essential to the Exodus, since the transformative miracle took place at night while the Exodus actually happened during the day. So remember, they fled at night, but by the time they got to the sea, it was light. Okay? Therefore, it was fitting to mention the Exodus both in the daytime and in the nighttime. The sages, on the other hand, felt that redemption happened during the day and not at night. The final plague was merely the means of allowing the Israelites to leave Egypt during the day. That is why we are only obligated to mention the Exodus in the daytime. We do not mention the Exodus at night, at the time when the final plague took place. We only focus on the final plague on the eve of Passover when we celebrate the holiday. Certainly, we must mention the Exodus on Passover night, since it was the time when the miracle took place. So, what do you think? If you were the ancient rabbis, why would you feel that it is important to recall the Exodus both in the morning and in the evening? Thoughts? Okay, so we should always remember our history. And by retelling it in the morning and the evening, we're always reminded of that. Michelle, you're pondering.
There's something about the blessings, about like thanking God for waking up and protecting me while I sleep. And so there's something about kind of keeping that continuity going. That
Okay.
We're remembering our deliverance, we're remembering our connection with God, our commitment with God.
Okay.
When we're waking up as well as when we're going to sleep. Is that also when you wrap tefillin? I'm trying to remember.
Traditionally, you would wrap tefillin in the morning, not on Shabbat, but yes. So you would remember those. So that's what the rabbis are saying. So that the plague came in the evening, but they didn't flee until the morning.
So then you remember the plague, you remember the Exodus.
And we know. I mean, I'm asking you a question that's already sort of been answered, because of course we know that the Michamocha and the Geula is done in the morning, and it's also done in the evening. Now the text changes. So let's for a quick second, I'm deviating from my page, but let's for a quick second, if you look at page, in your prayer book, on page 158, so the text changes between the morning and the evening in the middle part. In the evening, we say, "Your children witnessed your sovereignty, the sea splitting before Moses and Miriam. This is our God," they cried. "Adonai will reign forever and ever." And then if we look at the morning text, which you can find on page 240, With new song inspired at the shore of the sea, the redeemed sang your praise. In unison, they all offered thanks, acknowledging your sovereignty, they said, Adonai will reign forever.
Present and past tense.
There you go, present and past tense. Eli, were you going to say something? Geulah means redemption. Yes, it means redemption. So if you think, so in the evening, the children are witnessing this sea splitting. But in the morning, they're just standing at the shore of the sea. I see it that way. So Rabbi Nico found for me this beautiful text that came in the New York Times, which is written by Rabbi Sharon Brose, who's the rabbi of something down in LA, Ikar, down in LA. And she wrote this. This is an archetypal redemption story. Redemption story. A reminder that as much as the world has changed since ancient times, oppression, degradation, and exploitation remain part of the human condition. As long as there is power, there will be abuses of power. But the Exodus is also a reminder that any moment could be the inflection point between oppression and liberation. And so the telling and retelling of this story are the closest we as a people come to the generational transmission of hope, which can itself be seen as an act of spiritual resistance. She continues, the Exodus narrative demands us full partnership in the grueling, unending work of building a just society, one that stands as counter-testimony to the brutality of the Israelites, to the brutality that the Israelites experienced in Egypt. This is why the treatment of the ger, the stranger, the vulnerable one, becomes the central obsession of the 5 books of Moses. The many biblical commandments regarding treatment of the stranger are all rooted in the same principle. Do not oppress the stranger, since you know the soul of a stranger, for you were also strangers in the land of Egypt, which comes from Exodus chapter 23, verse 9. The message is clear. The work of leaving Egypt doesn't end once the people cross the Red Sea. Maybe just like we heard, right? On the path to the promised land, as Emma Lazarus, the poet whose words grace the Statue of Liberty, wrote in 1883, until we are all free, we are none of us free. We say Shabbat Shalom, Chag Sameach. Thank you. Thank you. So I will, as I said, this was Rabbi Nico and I were discussing this during the week. So no, he doesn't leave for Israel until a week from tomorrow. So he will be here this week. Where was I? So we are going to continue with the Aleinu on page 558, 57, 587, 587.
Going to do the Omer?
Oh yes, we're going to do the counting of the Omer, which we do for 49 days from Passover to Shavuos. You can find the counting of the Omer on page 570. And if you are with us at the beginning of services, you heard this beautiful melody that we used, which is actually called Sfirat HaOmer Nigun. And so we're going to sing it one more time as a nigun, and then we're going to add the blessing to it.
Ya da 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 da, ya da 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 da, ya da 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 da, ya da 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 da, ya da 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 da, ya da 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 da, ya da 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 da. ya da 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 da, ya da 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 da, ya da 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 ya da, ya da 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 da. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kiddushanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu asifat haomer asfirat haomer hayom sheni yamim laomer hayom sheni yamim laomer hayom sheni yamim laomer hayom sheni yamim laomer. Something a little new this year. So now we will rise for the Aleinu, found on page 587. And I see Noah came back. Whichever children are here, please come and open up the ark. We have to move you for a second. Move your chair. Okay, come open up the ark. Okay, go ahead. Open it up. Here, Noah, come on over. We'll make sure you close it, okay? Okay. All right, here we go.
Aleinu leshabeach la'adon hakol, la'teit gedula le'otzeh breshit, shehu sam chelkeinu li'achad et shemo, ve'gor aleinu lehamlich malchuto, v'anachnu korim, u'mishtachavim u'modim, לפני מלך מלכי המלכים הקדוש ברוך הוא ונאמר והיה אדוני למלך על כל הארץ ביום ההוא יהיה אדוני אחד Ushemo echad. Okay, now you can close it. Gently. There we go. All right. You may be seated. If you are in the first 7 days of mourning Shiva, please rise and share with us who you are remembering. If you are in the first 30 days of mourning Shloshim, please rise and share with us who you are remembering. If you are in the cycle of the first year of mourning, please rise and share with us who you are remembering.
My husband, Jack Long.
Karen and Balzana. If you have a yahrzeit this week, an anniversary of someone's passing, please rise and share with us who you are remembering. Stefan Bornstein, Richard Kennemer, Ethel Schenker, Varda Tzatchi, Rabbi Tlalit Shavit, Jack Long, Virginia Larson, PhD, Miriam Moore, Bob Sturman, Lenora Wang, Adam Richard Spilka, Shlomo Isips, Howard Levine, Barbara Lombard, Claire London, Drago Herman, Merle Greenwald, Samuel Grinwald, Anita Komula, Bryce Lyon, Edna Stone, Miriam Davis, Lauren Janovich, Janet Wohl, Charlene Kilgore, Ezra Sati Tzatchi, Gideon Hoffer, Alvin Kramer Siegel, Velasta Vizhanovic, Galina Butorina, Karen Imbalzano, Lillian Berman, Robert Bruce Myers, Abraham Karras, Scott Safadi, Norman Green, Marilyn Silverman, Leslie Heinall, David Green, Jeannie Porish, Estelle Abrams, Spencer Caney, Arthur Cherdak, John Ivers, Marilyn Handelman, Kay Dameron, Nira Marome, Andrea Cameron, Ziba Feruzin, Rosella Newton, Linda Sherry, Fred DeCastro, Sherry Skihan, Larry Eisen, Harry Gross, Michael Taub, Alan Frankel, Barnett Rogers, Ella Goldberg, Georgia Clark, Jeanette Barrett, Lido Scardigli, Mary Ellis Forster, Musa Saluki, Muriel Bickhoff, Phyllis Bale, Rita Luby, Susan Foncel, Tirsa Ginsburg, William Bone. And now you can support our community by standing or sitting, joining us with your voices or your hearts for Kaddish Avilim, the Mourner's Kaddish, on page 598. Yitgadal v'yitkadash shemei Rabbah, be'alma divrach irutei v'yamlich malchutei, b'chayechon uvyomechon uv'chayei t'chol Beit Yisrael, ba'agala v'zman kariv v'imru amen. Yehei shmei Rabbah mevarach le'alam u'lamei almaya, yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitpa'ar v'yitramam v'yitnaseh, v'yithadar v'yithaleh v'yithalal shemei dekudisha brichu, le'ela min kol birchata v'shirata, tushbechata v'nechamata, da'amiran be'alma v'imru amen. Yehei shlama rabba min shamaya v'chayim, aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael v'imru amen. Oseh shalom bimromav, hu ya'aseh shalom, aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael ve'al kol yoshvei tevel v'imru amen. May the memories of your dear ones always be a blessing in your life and to all of your loved ones. Yehei zichram baruch. You may be seated. It's my pleasure to invite up Michelle Wolf-Bloom to share with us some announcements. Thank you.
Shabbat Shalom. I'm going to highlight a few announcements, but you can find all of them on the back of your handout as well as the events on our website calendar. So on tomorrow morning at 9:30 a.m., there's Torah study in the library, followed by Shabbat morning services at 10:30 a.m. On Wednesday, April 12th, the office and ECC will be closed for Passover. Wednesday, April 12th at 6 p.m., there's 11 Up service and breaking bread. Please register on our website. Coming up the following week, on Sunday, April 16th at 3 p.m., we invite all ages to join us for Tea Time with a Twist. Please register on our website. Monday, April 17th at 7 p.m., Community Yom HaShoah Memorial Service off-site. On Tuesday, April 25th from 4:30 to 7:30, Israel's 70th celebration at the APJCC. Go to the website for details. Wednesday, April 26th at 7 p.m., Professor Mark Dollinger from San Francisco State will speak about Jews, whiteness, power, and privilege. Please register on the website. Friday and Saturday, May 6th and 7th, Rabbi Nico's installment. Please register on the website. Saturday and Sunday, May 20th and 21st, Rabbi Schwartz's celebration weekend. And lastly, Sunday, April 30th at 11 a.m. to 3:30 p.m., Bay Area Israel at 75 celebrations. Kulanu will have special programming to accommodate this event. Please check the calendar page for more information. Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom. Thank you very much. Just to add to a couple of those announcements, the 11 Up, the Yizkor will be recited, and the Yom HaShoah service this year is at Temple Emmanuel in San Jose. We're going to do Kiddush, which is found on page 122 and 123.
ויחולו השמיים והארץ וכל צבאם, ויחל אלוהים ביום השביעי מלאכתו אשר עשה,
וישבות ביום השביעי מכל מלאכתו אשר עשה. ויברך אלוהים את יום השביעי ויקדש אותו כי בו שבת מכל מלאכתו אשר ברא אלוהים לעשות. Please rise and join me. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam borei peri hagafen. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kitshanu b'mitzvotav v'ratzavanu b'shabbat kodsho be'ahava uvratzon hinchilanu zikaron lema'aseh v'bereshit ki hu yom techila lemikra kodesh zecher letziat Mitzrayim ki banu v'acharta ve'otanu kidashta mikol ha'amim b'shabbat kodshecha be'ahava uvratzon hinchaltanu. Baruch atah Adonai mekadesh ha-Shabbat. So if you are here with your child, or you want to adopt a child, you're welcome to. Then we invite you to go stand by your child as we take a moment to bless them as well. Get there in a minute. So for our boys, we say, Yisimech Elohim ke'Ephraim v'chim Menashe. May God inspire you to live like Ephraim and Manasseh. And if for girls, we say, Yisimech Elohim ke'Sarah Rivka Rachel v'Uchlea. May God inspire you to live like Rebecca, like Sarah, Rebecca, Rachel, and Leah. Yivarechechem Adonai v'yishmarchem. Ya'er Adonai panav elechem v'yichunechem. Yisa Adonai panav elechem v'yasem lechem shalom. And then we go to our closing song, which is Ein Adir in honor of the festival. That is found on page 632.
Mipiel, Mipiel, Yevorach Kol Yisrael. Mipiel, Mipiel, Yevorach Kol Yisrael. Ein Kadur Kadonai, Ein Baruch Keben Amram. Ein Gedola Katorah, Ein Dashanecha Yisrael. Mipiel, Mipiel, Yevorach Kol Yisrael. Mipiel, Mipiel, Yevorach Kol Yisrael. Ein Hadur Kadonai, Ein Gati Keben Amram. Ein Zakat Katorah, Ein Chachamecha Yisrael. Mipiel, Mipiel, Yevorach Kol Yisrael. Mipiel, Mipiel, Yevorach Kol Yisrael. Ein Tahor Kadonai, Ein Yakid Keben Amram. Ein Kabirat Katorah, Ein Lamdanecha Yisrael. Mipiel, Mipiel, Yevorach Kol Yisrael. Mipiel, Mipiel, Yevorach Kol Yisrael. Ein Podek Adonai, Ein Tzadik Keben Amram. Ein Kedosha Katorah, Ein Tomachecha Yisrael. Mipiel, Mipiel, Yevorach Kol Yisrael. Mipiel, Mipiel, Yevorach Kol Yisrael. Adonai oz le'amav yiten, Adonai yivarech et amo v'shalom. May Adonai grant strength to the people Israel, and may Adonai bless our people with
peace. And we say Shabbat Shalom.
And amen.
Daniel,
Daniel.
what was your name?